Hi, so welcome to the Nisha Jackson Show. I am here at Rythmia in Costa Rica again. This is my second time I've come for a great deep healing. And the awesome thing about this retreat is it's a week long and you get to really work on all those things that are not so good inside of you. So I have Dr. Jeff Bland with me today, and today he's the medical director of Rythmia. And today it was really interesting because in our workshop we talked about empaths. And so I just thought it would be good to do a show about empaths because empaths are very sensitive, highly intuitive people that often absorb other people's feelings. And when they absorb other people's feelings, they often kind of have a tendency to seed that down inside of them and they get sick.
That's right.
And they sometimes have chronic pain.
Yeah.
And often they end up at places like this because they want to heal. And I can relate to that. So I just thought it would be good for us to talk about it.
Yeah, because a lot of people that are empaths don't even know they are. They're not aware of this.
Right.
I believe that everybody has an empathic quality to them as being a human being, but there's other people that get this amplified for different reasons. And usually it's based in trauma from childhood.
Yes. So an empath is somebody that, this is something I questioned about myself for a long time. I would walk into a party or I'd walk into a room and all of a sudden I could feel, it was almost like I was feeling everybody's feelings or their what they were thinking. It was almost like you could read people's minds.
Absolutely.
And I've suffered from low back pain for years, and I really believe a lot of that is I didn't know how to manage that. I didn't know how to manage, I saw patients for 30 years. And even seeing patients and listening to all their stories, sometimes if you don't know how to disconnect from that, and you don't know how to separate yourself from that, you can get sick.
Yes, yeah, because you're holding a bunch of emotion that's not your own.
Right.
You're holding it. It's called being flooded.
Yes.
And over time it just builds and it's just overwhelming, and people develop chronic illnesses and autoimmune disorders and have stress and anxiety issues and all this kind of stuff, But the interesting part about being an empath is that it's rooted in a tool to really be safe. And it stems from a tool usually in childhood when somebody is under an abusive environment or a situation that they can't control, and they're just little kids, like they're 4 years old or 5 years old, and they don't have any tools to really stay safe if they're being in an abusive environment, or it could be an abandoning environment.
Right.
It doesn't have to be something really dramatic necessarily, but the tool that a kid has is they can remove their own emotions from themselves and become a vessel, and that vessel absorbs the energy of other people around them, and then it's diagnostic, and you can see and feel who someone is.
Right.
So if I have, let's say my home environment at age 5 is chaotic and let's say abusive, well, I can unplug from myself and absorb the energy of my parents or my neighbors or my caregivers or whoever, and I can feel what they're going through, and I know how to navigate it.
Right.
So I learned this tool, and it's a really effective tool. So I learned it at a young age, and then over time it develops into something big. And most people that have this history go into caregiving careers.
Right.
Doctors, nurses, psychologists, masters in social work, all that kind of work, because they can really feel what their clients are going through, and it's very helpful to them.
Yeah.
And they think that if they just hold this pain for their patients, that they're doing good work.
Right.
But it's not what happens.
Or they take it home with them.
Yes.
And give it to other people. Right.
Clearly.
So what are some tools that you think people could practice? I mean, certainly a retreat like this is amazing, to be able to get some space from your environment, right? Space to be able to see kind of what's going on, and the teachings and the workshops are amazing. So what are some tools that you think people could do that maybe some quick tools that would be helpful? I read this book one time called The Energy Vampire, and slaying the energy vampire, and it was really eye-opening for me to learn some tools to basically identify when you're up against an energy vampire, because people are attracted, energy vampires, people that like to seek out empaths, will seek them out.
Definitely.
They know their hands are wide open.
That's right. People that have what we call in psychology, that have personality disorders, are often those vampires that we can say. And what's going on with them is that they have an emotional situation that's extreme that they don't know how to deal with.
Right.
So they're always looking for targets to project that energy onto, so they can get a little bit of a break from it. And they can also understand themselves better when they see someone else showing the anxiety that they're feeling. They go, oh, well, that's how I'm feeling. I'm anxious, or I get a break from it.
Right.
So they're looking for targets, and those targets are often empaths.
Right. So what can people do you think that would be helpful? Just some quick little tips that you've observed just working with a lot of empaths here at Rythmia. What kind of things do you think would be helpful?
Well, the main thing that I teach the empaths when they come here is that they have these 4 traits that are very cool, interesting traits. 3 of them are great. They're loving, they're caregiving, and they are emotionally stable. And I like to say they're perceived as emotionally stable because they often say, oh, I'm not emotionally stable. But no, they are. So they're loving, they're caregiving, they're emotionally stable. The 4th thing is what they work on. This is what I give them tools on. The boundaries they have with themselves are unclear to others.
Right.
So not boundaries with other people. We all know what boundaries with others are. That's easy. We learned that in kindergarten. But boundaries with self. So that means how much of my own emotional energy am I willing to invest to meet the needs of someone else?
Right.
So with my 2 little kids, they're 1.5 and 3, it's almost infinite.
Right.
With my older kids, 18 and 21, it's not as much of my emotional energy because I'm trying to help them become adults and be assertive and be empowered in themselves. It has nothing to do with how much I love them, about how much am I willing to invest to meet their needs.
Right.
So a stranger, very little or none, unless I want to be a good Samaritan or I see that they're suffering and I want to help them.
Yeah.
So it's about managing how much of my own emotional energy am I willing to, and some days it's different.
Absolutely.
It can be a lot, it can be a little, and if we're working with patients, you have to know who you're dealing with.
That's right. So if you think you're an empath, you certainly could check out what that means. We'll have some information on the site for you, nishajackson.com. Dr. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know you're really busy and it's a busy week and it's just great to be here. So just go to nishajackson.com and check out the website and the information on empaths and what you could do about it. Or you could come to Rythmia.
Pura vida.
Have a great day.